recording here. All right, today we are going to continue with our measures of center. So we're going to use that mean again. So you can use your calculator again today. And you're also maybe going to want a scrap piece of paper to be able to take some notes and be able to work these problems out. Okay, so we're going to get started then with our measure of center. And today we're going to work on the missing mean. So these are going to be questions just like yesterday, except for it's going to tell us the answer and take out one of our numbers. All right. Let me know if at any time you guys can't see my dry erase board that I have here. Okay. So this is going to be like yesterday, it gave us a list of numbers. And today it's going to leave one of them out. Okay. Somebody can't see. Can you see it? Okay. So then it's going to tell you what the mean is. So this is going to be different than yesterday because it is going to give you the mean and it's going to miss one of those data values. Okay. So to find this missing mean, we have to think about what we did yesterday. And I'm going to show you two ways to do this. So yesterday we added up all of our values and divided by our data set number. Well, today we already know the answer to that equation. So what we have to work on is kind of work this backwards. Okay. So I'm going to start with adding up the values I do know. So when I look here, I have a 2 and a 7. So I know that equals 9. So I'm going to use a bar diagram to kind of show you this. So I know if I add 2 and 7, I get 9. Plus, if I add this missing, which I'm going to just put an M in, that's going to be my missing. You guys see that okay? Jackson, do you have a question?
I was going to say I know the missing number.
Okay. Hold on just a second, all right? So my missing here is got to give me the whole. Now to find the whole, yesterday we divided by our total number. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo that and go backwards. So I have to think, what's the opposite of division? Multiplication, right? So if I know 3 is my answer, and I know I have 1, 2, 3 numbers, then I'm going to take 3 times my 3, and that gives me the answer of 9. So my total here at the top had to be 9. Well, if I look, I was already at 9. So what that means is my missing number is a 0 because I don't want to add anything to it to stay at 9. Okay, so to stay at 9, I do that. So that one was a 0. That one's a little different. But I also want to show you a second way because this is a good example to do this with. Sometimes they use those line plots that we've used before. So what that looks like is the mean we know is a measure of center. So here's my center, and that's 3. That's my mean. One of my numbers was a 2. So a 2 on my number line or my dot plot would be here, which is 1 away from 3. And then the other number is 7. So it goes over here on this side, which is 4 away from 7 on that side. So when I think about this, I have 1 on this side and a 4 on this side. which means I need to make these equal because this is my measure of center. So I'm going to have to add a 3 on this side so that I have a 4 equals 4. So if I add a 3 to this side, 3 going to the left means it's getting smaller. So 3 take away 3 would drop me down to 0. So my missing value, whether I use the bar diagram or I use my line plot way, I figure out that it's a 0. Okay? So I know that's a little different than what we did yesterday. So we're going to go over several more of those to give you some practice. And then we're going to do some of your assignment on Schoology for your practice as well. Okay? All right. So let's look at another one. We'll just do a couple of numbers here for this first one. So again, it's probably going to give you a story sometimes. So it's going to say like, Susie went searching for shells on the beach. On Monday, she found 6. Tuesday, she found 1. Wednesday, she found 3. And on Thursday, how many did she find? So I'm just going to use a T. If her mean or her average number of shells she found is 5. Okay, so here's my data set again. And I know my mean, my measure of center is going to be 5. Okay, so using what I did yesterday, here's what we did. We added up the numbers we knew. So 6 plus 1 plus 3. So that would give me 10. Plus I have a missing value. So if I take 10 plus a T, it's got to add up to this total amount. And here's what I know from yesterday. If I added this all up and divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, that would have given me my mean of 5. So to do the opposite of that and undo it, I'm going to take a 5, because that's my mean, times 4, and that's going to give me a total value of 20. So my bar has to have a value of 20. So here's what I know. If I take 10 plus T and it has to equal 20, then my missing value is 10. So on Tuesday, she had to find 10 shells. Okay. Again, you can use your line plot way if you like that way better. This is just 2 ways to do it. So again, my mean is 5. So mean is my measure of center. There's my center. And I know I've got to keep this balanced. So this is like my balance scale. So what's on one side has to be on the other. So let's look. Here were my values here. So if 6 would be to the right 1 space, 1 would go to the left, and it would go 4, because 5 minus 1 is 4 spaces away. 3 would also be to the left, but it's a little closer. So it would go 2 spaces away, because 5 minus 3 is 2. And then I don't know what I'm missing. So when I look at the measure of center, on the left side, I have 4 plus 2, which is a 6. And I'm trying to get it equal to the other side, which just has a 1. So I'm thinking, what do I add to 1 so that I have 6 on both sides? Well, that means I add a 5, right? So if I add a 5 to this side, I've got to go 5 more than 5, and that gets me a 10. So either way I do this, I find out my missing value is going to be a 10. Okay? Do you like one of those ways better? Do you have a question, Celia?
On our assignment, will it ever make us do one or the other choose the way we solve it for us?
That's a great question, Celia. And no, it's going to
Cause
tell you
that,
just,
cause that line plot is very confusing to my brain. I'm like,
and that's okay. If you're looking at this dot plot and you're like, I have no idea what in the world you're doing, lady, that's okay. If you understand the bar diagram and you understand how to undo the equation from yesterday, you can do it that way. It's just giving you the option of two different ways to do it. And you are fine to do either way that you want to, okay? So it really doesn't matter which way you choose, either way works.
okay.
That's a great question, Celia, because no, on your assignment, it's just going to say, find the missing data value, and that's all you have to do. Okay?
Okay.
Great question. Okay, so let's do a couple more just to practice. So those have been some pretty easy numbers. This one we may need our calculator for. We're going to do some bigger ones. All right, so let's say we've got an 88, a 95, a 93, and an 80. And we're trying to find out what's the missing value here. And here's what I know. The mean is going to be 90. So this may be a question like on your test. On the first test, you got an 88. The second one, you got a 95. Third one, you got a 93. The fourth one, you got an 80. Your teacher tells you after the fifth test, your average test score is a 90%. So you're trying to figure out, okay, what did I make on test 5 then? So this is when you would use this. So first thing, and this is Celia said, I like the bar diagram better. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to use my calculator. And on the bar diagram, I'm going to do exactly like I did yesterday. I'm going to add up these values I know. So I'm going to type in 88 plus 95 plus 93 plus 80. And I should get 356. Plus, I have this extra test over here. And I don't care which variable you use. I'm just going to use t because we were talking about test scores.
Is that a 9 or is that like a 3? The first number?
This is a 3.
Okay, 356.
Yep, 356. Okay. So then I have to think about how much would my total be worth. So here's what I know. Yesterday, once we had our total, we divided by the number of spots. Well, I don't have all my spots. So I'm going to undo what I did yesterday and do the opposite of dividing, and I'm going to multiply. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots that I was supposed to have, and I know my mean's going to be 90. So I'm going to take 90 and I'm going to multiply it by 5 to figure out how much my total bar should have been. So if in my calculator I type 90 times 5, I'm going to get a 450. So here's what my equation looks like. I have 356 plus a missing value, and that's going to give me 450. Which this is back to an equation we know how to solve, right? We're solving an addition equation for a missing variable. So that means we are just subtracting 356 from this side. So t is by itself. Subtract 356 from this side. And again, you can use your calculator. All right. So if I take 450 minus 356, anybody got your answer there? What do you think it is, Ava?
I got 94.
Yeah, she got 94. Okay. Does anybody want to see the number line way? You're like, no, I like the line plot way because I can go through that way. I see a thumbs down. Nobody likes that way? Okay, well, that's fine. If you understand this way, we'll stick to this way, okay? So you can do the line plot and see how far away each of those are from 90 and try to balance it out. But if you like this way and this way makes sense, then we'll stick to it. Okay? All right, so let's try one more, and this is where your piece of paper may come in handy before we start our assignment here. So I'm going to have you work some of this out and see if you can guide me through what to do. All right, so here's my values. 494, 502, 486, 690, and 478. And we are missing the last number. Okay, and here's what I know. The mean of all these numbers is going to be 532. So this would be a question like maybe they're looking at sizes of elementary schools. And the first school they look at has 494, then 502, 486, 690, 478, and then this is the sixth school. And they know the mean of the schools are the average number of kids in the school is 532. So those are some bigger numbers, but remember, you can use your calculator. So that's going to be super helpful to you. Okay? So tell me, what would you do first to solve this problem? Who can walk us through it? Either way you would like. Think about what we've been doing. So Xander, what are you thinking you would try first? What did we do first yesterday, Xander, to work these out?
We would add the numbers all up.
Exactly, and we're going to do the same thing today. We're going to add up the numbers we know. So again, you have your calculator. I'm not expecting you to add those up. So take your calculator, and we're going to add those numbers up. So 494 plus 502 plus 486 plus 690 plus 478. And Berkeley, what do you get there?
I got 2,220.
Anybody else get Berkeley's same answer? Celia, what'd you get?
I got 2650. I'm pretty sure it's 2650 because I use my
Okay.
calculator.
So let's look for somebody that can help us which one they think. Amelia, what do you think? Which one do you agree with?
I agree with Celia.
Okay. So Burke, did you re-add those and get 2650, get to the 2,650? Okay, she said yes. So remember, since we can use our calculator, you may want to go back and re-add sometimes just to make sure you don't work out the whole problem wrong, okay? So here's what I know. I have 2,650 so far, plus I'm missing a number, and you can plug in any letter, an S, an M, whatever you want to pick, and that's got to equal my total. My total is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers, and my average is the 532. So how do I figure out what my total is going to be? What are you thinking, Amelia? How do I figure out what my total is going to be?
Put do 2,650 plus maybe the missing variable.
Right, absolutely. Put 2,650 plus the missing. And then what's that got to equal then?
The it's gotta equal to the confused.
That's okay. Think about what we did yesterday. So Xander told us to add first. What did we do yesterday, Amelia, once we added?
We divided by
We divided by my total number, right? Well, I know my total number 6, and I already know the answer. So what's the opposite, Amelia, of dividing?
multiplying.
Multiplying. So I'm going to take my mean, and instead of dividing it by 6, I'm going to multiply it by 6 to get back to my big number. Okay? So type that into your calculator for us, Amelia. What's 532 times 6?
$3,192.
Perfect. Okay. So here's what you guys just told me. Xander said, first thing you want to do is add up all the numbers you know, just like we did yesterday. And then Amelia said, okay, yesterday we divided by the total numbers that we had, except I'm missing one of those numbers and they have the answer this time. So I'm going to do the opposite today. To find the missing value of my data set, I'm going to multiply it by my total numbers, which was 6, and I have 3,192. So Mallory, here's my equation. How do I solve for this missing variable?
You want to divide by 300 and or 3,000.
Now be careful. This is 2,650 plus S equals 3,000. So if I divide, that means this is a multiplication problem. So I can't solve by dividing. How do I solve?
Subtract.
Yeah. So this becomes a subtraction. So I can get S by itself. I subtract 2,650. So my missing is by itself. And then into my calculator, I can type this new equation. So type that in there, 3,192 minus 2,650. And Tracy, what do you get?
542.
542. And that's my missing value. You can always go back and check yourself by doing what we did yesterday. If you found that 542 is the missing number here, you could do exactly like Xander said. Add up those and then divide by 6, and you should get this mean back if you wanted to check yourself. Okay? All right. What questions can I answer about today's lesson? Does anybody want to see the line plot way? I see a lot of no's. Okay, that's okay. And if this is a way you understand, then stick to this way, because like Celia pointed out, it really doesn't matter on your assignment. As long as you understand one of the ways to work it out, you can use that way. Okay? And I think when the numbers get bigger, if you understand this way, it makes it a lot easier on you. All right? So you have a Schoology assignment now with some of these problems. So make sure that we go back, and if you need to rewatch the video, that you rewatch the video as you're working these out for answers to do. Okay, so give me just a second and I'm going to stop our recording here.